Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in with me today. The game I'll be reviewing today is Antarctic Adventure for the Nintendo Famicom. Antarctic Adventure was originally an MSX game developed and published by Konami Corporation in 1984. The game has been said to have been Hideo Kojima's first video game, the same guy who brought us the Metal Gear games, though I have no way of backing up that he worked on the game. The game was ported to the ColecoVision and of course was ported to the Nintendo Famicom and released on April 22, 1985. There was also a port on the Game Boy Color as a part of the Konami Game Boy collection only in Europe and Japan. There was also a phone, handheld, and Wii Virtual Console release. The game's been rumored to be a port of the arcade game, but it hasn't been proven that an arcade for this game exists, at least not the time this video was made. I'm not too sure what the story of this game is. From what I can gather, Penta, the penguin you play as, wants to go on a marathon around Antarctica. Now, if you want to take a marathon around your country, that's fine with me, but I didn't know that Australia, France, New Zealand, USA, Argentina, United Kingdom, and Japan had their own property in Antarctica. Okay, enough of my rambling, on to the review. The gameplay is simple. The game is what GameFAQs calls an on-foot racing game. Your objective is to get Penta from point A to point B while dodging water pits, crevasses, and walruses that pop their heads out of the water all the while. You can increase your speed using the D-pad and jump with the A or B button. While doing this, you must get to the next station within the allotted time. Any time you have left will be added to your score. Along the way, you can collect fish that jump out of the water pits and flags, but these are only to increase the score. Normally, I wouldn't say score matters, but since this is an early never-ending game, I'll give this one a pass. There are also multicolored flags that will give you helicopter wings on your head temporarily. The helicopter wings give Penta the ability to hover in midair temporarily. The helicopter wings can be lost on the ground, however, if you either run into a seal, hit a water hole, or fall into a crevasse. The controls on Antarctic Adventure are just fine. Up and down control your speed, A and B jump, and start pauses the game. When you have the flying ability, rapidly tapping A will make Penta hover. When you get stuck in a crevasse, you can also rapidly press A to help him climb out. The only button left is select, which only selects your level at the title screen. Speaking of the levels, I played both levels 2 and 3 and I can't figure out what the differences are. They don't seem harder than level 1 to me. I still had 70 seconds left to beat the first stage. I thought like Road Fighter they'd start you on the second or third loop, but the game still says I'm on the first stage. Maybe they didn't have time to program it completely, but I don't know. I don't frickin' know! The graphics in Antarctic Adventure are very good. They're not anything Sunsoft, but for a game made for the Famicom in 1985, it was innovative to make a 3D game for the Famicom. I can't think of any other games Nintendo made for the NES Famicom that used 3D. When you're making a turn, the game looks like you're actually turning. Like I said in my Road Fighter review, they probably only had one person make all the graphics, and I think they did their job. The music and sound in Antarctic Adventure is just average. The game's soundtrack consists of 4 songs: the press start music, stage theme, stage complete, and time over. The in-game music is Emil Waldteufel's The Skater's Waltz. I hope I pronounced that right. If you play the game long enough, the music can get annoying, but I'll give Konami credit. At least there's in-game music, unlike some other early Konami Famicom game I know. Road Fighter! Excuse me. The sound effects aren't bad either, but there's nothing memorable. There's only a few sound effects for when you jump, run into something, collect a flag or fish, and when you're flying. None of the sound effects pierced my ears or made me mute the television, so I'll give it a break. Like the graphics, I'm sure only one person worked on all of the audio. Plus, it's an early game, so I can't really complain. Now we're almost done with this review, but let me point out a couple of design flaws. First off, sometimes you can hit 2 obstacles or more in a row and aren't given the chance to avoid them. Another flaw is the timer. What's so wrong with it? It functions perfectly, so why am I complaining about it? Notice how there's 4 digits. Well, the problem is you only get 2 digits for a time limit. Now, I'm not going to hammer this in too much because it's an early Famicom game and it's one of the first, if not the first, 3D game for the Famicom. Another thing I'd like to point out is the game's cover art. All I'm going to say is, what is this? Now, I am not going to go too much into detail because someone else on YouTube already did that for the MSX version, which has the same box art, but man, you have to wonder what drugs they were taking. I know us British people have Yellow Submarine, but sometimes they just can't compare to Japan. Antarctic Adventure spawned a couple sequels. First, there was Penguin Adventure for the MSX. Then there was one on the Famicom titled Yume Penguin Monogatari. or Dream Penguin Story. I wish I could tell you my opinions on these games, but I haven't really played them, but knowing they're from Konami, I've got no reason to believe they're crap. If I had to rate Antarctic Adventure on the Famicom, I'd give it a 3 out of 5. It's not a bad game, it's just very, very average. Some Konami fanboys might comment saying what a terrible person I am for not giving this game a perfect, if not near perfect score. Well, let me remind you that no game developer is perfect. Each developer has their flaws, whether they developed a lot of games, some games, or even just one game. Finding Antarctic Adventure can be a bit of a challenge. Looking on eBay, I see a copy with some other Famicom games for $9 plus $14 shipping as a bid. There's another copy of the game itself for $19.80 plus $5 for shipping, which is a buy it now auction. I got my copy from a seller who was at Seattle Retro Gaming Expo for $10. I'll put a link to his website in the description. Go check him out. As always, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch my review, and happy gaming. Mata ne!